Charging an EV is probably one concern that holds back EV adoption, especially if you are not geared with home charging, and even more if you are not sure of the available infrastructure when on road trips. Here in the US, some apps have made some good contribution in solving the problems around charging. One problem with fast charging is the lack of standards. A car can have a small battery with a low pack voltage. Another one can have one that's too large for charging at a given location. When a car is plugged in, the charging equipment needs to first have the right connector. Once plugged, the electric vehicle charging equipment tries to match the voltage to the pack voltage, which can often be low in an empty battery, which gradually ramps up. So if the car has a 200 volts battery and the charging equipment is at 400 volts, the car will never be able to avail of the available charging capacity, hindered by its limits. This can easily be a problem in reverse for some of the newer cars coming to market which have a 800 volt system and struggle to find a public charger of that capacity. Then the condition of the battery, its temperature, degradation, the car's preconditioning, etc. all have a bearing on the charging experience. There are many such issues which a common user is oblivious to, and rightly so, but never the same, it dissuades EV buying when the experience goes bad. The company ChargeWay has an interesting solution and an app. It uses a simple system of colors and numbers to find the best charging station for the user. You can add your EV to the app or any number of EVs, and it lays out the colors and numbers on the map for a given EV in terms of its configuration. This completely takes away the pain of looking for the right charger for the user. For EV drivers, things are fairly simplified. The plugs are available in 3 colors: red for Tesla, blue for ChargeWay, a dying standard here in North America but still commonly visible, and green for the CCS J1772 plugs. The charging itself, both for daily miles and a road trip, has been divided in 7 categories based on distance charged and time taken. The app will use these 2 variables when displaying information to help the user quickly pick the right charging station. I think this really makes charging plain sailing for any user. This is the ChargeWay app. The very first thing you do is you add an EV in it. You are allowed to add any number of EVs. I select the right company and then the correct model. This is an essential first step because it allows the app to pull the dynamics of the particular car. As you see, I have been allocated the number 6 in red. Red indicates Tesla and 6 is the second highest level of charging capability. I move to the filter, and as you can see, primarily the Tesla options have been picked. The green and the blue color is disabled. So because Tesla offers a J1772 adapter with it, I can pick that because I can then open the car to those many more chargers. And J1772 is the US or the North American standard for level 1 and level 2 charging. When you push the network tab, you see all the networks supported by the app. You can select and unselect those you don't want, but by default I keep all of the charging networks available as offered. And then we move to the timer. The timer indicates the state of the charge of the battery and allows you to calculate the time to charge. If you see that currently it's level 1 by default and the state of charge is marked at 50%. I can change it, I can set it down to 20%, and it indicates 31 hours and 21 minutes to charge at level 1, which is typically 1 to 2 kilowatt. Pushing that to level 2 puts the time down to 5 hours 42 minutes. That's because a level 2 charger can give you from 6, 7, 9, sometimes 11 kilowatts to even 18 kilowatts at 80 amps. Very few cars are capable of taking that though. And if I move to the maximum 6, that indicates that in 20 minutes the car can charge from 20 to 80%. 80% is the default limit on most public charging networks, but there is no such hard rule. You can view the data as a percentage value or in distance. Most people prefer distance, but I personally prefer the percentage because the actual range of a car can vary on several variables. You move to the trip planner. This is like any other feature in most, as you can see in most of the navigation apps. You can set up a starting point. So let's say I put the starting point of San Francisco. I can add a stop, maybe San Jose, and add a destination, maybe Los Angeles. So when I set the route, it will navigate the given path. I'm not going to fast forward it because I would like you to see the actual performance of the app. It's found the route and it's looking for chargers now. So depending on the state of charge that we have entered, it will recommend charging stops which are appropriately picked for the given car. This I think is a useful feature because most people who are new to EVs can simply leave the app to decide for them. Here is a list of chargers available if you want to see it in text form or on the map. So this is primarily the app that ChargeWay is, and I think it's very useful. The next app I'd like to present here is PlugShare. If you have seen the video of my 533-mile road trip in Northern California, you have seen it in use. PlugShare is a community-based tool driven highly by driver or user participation. The basic idea is to obtain updates from users of real-world conditions of charges, starting with pictures and other details that users experience in the real world. This is the PlugShare app. This one is a very straightforward one. So it starts with your location on the map. You can enter a location in the address given above, and it starts showing you the chargers marked in different colors again. So when I pick a location, you can open the page of that particular location. You can see pictures as available of that actual place. These are user generated images, and then you have the address of the location, the contact information of the location, the company's contact number which is probably providing the chargers. It shows you the cost and parking dynamics. This is very important when traveling because there are places which give you free parking and then charge you for the actual charging, and then there are places which give you free charging and they charge you for parking along with the hours of operation. It can have some useful information about the description of the place and the available amenities in the location. Very useful on road trips. Then importantly, it shows you the plugs. So this is a very good approach of number of plugs available, number of stations available, those that are in use, available, broken, and the company providing it along with the speed expected there. And then you have user comments of the experience, so which is like really useful. That is what PlugShare is. You can of course set your filters. You can see the chargers you want to see, just like you saw me doing in ChargeWay. You can look at the tabs, pick those tabs which apply to you. I don't have CCS charging, so I have not selected that. I don't have CHAdeMO. NEMA 1450 is useful if you go to some place. One thing you need to keep in mind is sometimes this app will show you chargers which are actually in private property. They do come pop up some time and again. So it's useful that even when you see the charger, it's nice to call up and check. Or if you find a charger on the app, it's always nice to verify personally the ownership of that charger and the access to that charger. It's a good practice. Again, PlugShare has trips. You can add trips that you want to set up here. It has a bookmarking option to bookmark your favorite locations, and it's your profile. So this is a simple app and a useful one. Like I said earlier, you have seen me use it in one of my previous videos. If you have seen the one of the 533-mile road trip to Northern California. For years, most auto companies had held out from adopting Tesla's connector and rejected what Tesla termed the North American charging standard. Right when making this video, Ford, the first big company, said it reached an agreement with Tesla Motors that will provide Ford electric vehicle customers access to more than 12,000 Tesla SuperChargers across the US and Canada, doubling the number of fast chargers available to Ford EV customers starting spring of 24. Initially, this will likely be via an adapter, and eventually Ford may use the Tesla plug. This was an industry-shattering piece of news, especially as it's expected to be followed by more companies. This could be a big game changer and a decisive moment in an industry that's been plagued by very poor DC charging experience outside of Tesla. This is big news in EV adoption and avoiding the duplication of precious infrastructure, besides the availability of the best-in-class network to Ford customers. I hope and feel confident that this will inevitably extend to more users. The apps presented here, I hope, will grow alongside and adapt in this dynamic market, enabling more and more users to join in the electrification run. We like to explicitly state here that I have no business commercial interest with any of the companies mentioned here, and this video is made genuinely to help in EV adoption, so critical for the planet. Until the next one, take care.